Obviously, you have been involved in a huge number of APAs. I think possibly the most in any tax professional in the world.
That's just because I'm old, but yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't saying that.
Yeah.
But no, could you perhaps talk us through one of your more challenging or your more interesting APAs?
Yeah, I mean, the most interesting APAs are almost always heavy intangibles disputes. Both countries usually can figure out why they deserve all the upside profits, and they should have nothing to do with those losses. And intangibles are just very hard to value, hard to talk about. Even their existence is sometimes in question. So it'd have to be my intangibles cases. And those, it's a question, it really means the people at the table become important, because the substantive issues, as varied as they are, don't determine outcome. What determines outcome is usually a small group of people at two different governments in the APA process. And basically, you have the facts, and you have the floor to explain to both of them how they ought to understand it, and basically you got to run down any misunderstandings and address them, so that what you're doing is facilitating the two to negotiate, which is why my favorite APA, looking back, was a residual profit split model. It was the first one between the U.S. and another country. And there were so many variables. The residual profit split essentially involves splitting the functional return earned by the global entity based on the contributions of the manufacturer and the distributor, and then the residual from that, what's left over, then gets split based upon the relative contributions of the two parties to intangibles. And there's a reason why this is becoming more important in the world these days. There is more understanding and more recognition of marketing intangibles than there ever was. But this first one, marketing intangibles have been with us since the first residual profit split model. So we had a case where manufacturer was foreign, distributor was U.S. Distributors always, spend a lot of money on the development of the brand image and in the marketplace, tremendous amount of it. But basically the mother intangibles are developed in the home country, frequently over decades, and here you have basically a clash of two cultures, and that is the negotiation. But the thing I really liked about this one, and it's given me my sense of residual profit split, is that there's a benefit to this method in negotiation between two governments, and that is negotiation dynamics are, let's say you had $100 million for them to split. The first, $60 million is decided based upon manufacturing contribution, distribution contribution. Okay, fine. That would be harder if that was the only thing on the table. So you you get there pretty quickly, because they understand this is a long negotiation, and that's not the main event. The main event is splitting the residual. But in a negotiation dynamic, the fact that you are able to agree to the first tranche, the functional aspect, sets you up for a more shared understanding when you get ready to take on the difficult issues. Plus, instead of having $100 million on the table, you're down to 40. Still not small, but you've achieved agreement on over half of the case. You still have some really hard negotiations going forward, but some recognition that there are intangibles in both countries usually is pretty easy to achieve. And so if you started thinking about it at 50-50, then you start thinking about which side related party has the negotiation benefit in this. You usually get to somewhere close to where the governments end up. So it was fascinating. It took forever. There were frequently, when I was at the IRS, there were frequently 30 people in the room doing negotiations. It was maddening, but it was a real issue. and it really got resolved. And that was probably my favorite.